Live, brought to you exclusively by Abu Garcia.
How you doing, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening. Want to welcome you to a brand new Ike Live 2.0. And we got a good one for you tonight. Joining us in just a minute, my good friend Mark Zona, a.k.a. Z, is joining us. He's had a big year. We're going to talk to him about everything that's happened. Let me remind you, this podcast is brought to you by Abu Garcia. Go over to abugarcia.com. Check out their great stuff, including the brand new Ike series. Just relaunched at ICAST this year. Rods, reels, even travel rods. Go over there and check that out. I believe this week or next, you can also get them over at Tackle Warehouse. Show's also brought to you by the Ike Foundation. If you want to find out how to get kids fishing, head over to the ikefoundation.org. Also, we got a big auction going on right now over there. Some really cool stuff, fishing products for your wife, everything. All the proceeds from this auction go toward getting new kids fishing. So also check that out at ikefoundation.org. All right, real quick before we get Z on, the beer of the night, once again, you've seen this a lot the last couple shows. I'm going to keep drinking it so I don't have any left. This is the Stay in the Boat Ike. It's a light, mild, hazy IPA. Doing this beer with a local brewery, Neck of the Woods Brewing in Pittman, New Jersey. If you're in the tri-state area, get a 4-pack, get a case, get a sixtel, get a keg. Who cares? Get drunk. It all goes to getting kids fishing. Did you ever think you could get drunk and get kids fishing? I don't know. That's a good way to bring Z into the show. That didn't go as planned. It came out of my mouth different than I wanted it to.
You sold it, but hey, not only that, Mike, I'm not going to lie. Looking at the Stay in the Boat Ike beer, I feel like I deserve some kind of royalty.
Oh, you do.
I had a hell of a lot to do with that.
Oh, you do. You do.
Mike, that was the best intro ever.
Dude, I got to tell you that. And for those of you watching and listening, if you're under a rock somewhere and you haven't seen that episode, it was one of the most fun 2 days. Disaster on wheels is a good way to describe it. Most fun I've ever had filming. Z, it's one of the best times I ever had with you. But it was not pretty. And I had a moment in that first day where I fell. I could blame it on a lot of things. The seat, me, there was a lot of things I could blame it on, but regardless, I fell. But to this day, when I'm at a show or a seminar or whatever, you know, you meet people and you're like, man, they're going to come up and say, hey, great job winning that 03 Classic. Great job on the 06 AOY or, you know, whatever. Nope. They want to they want to talk about that moment all the time. You know?
That show went exactly how I thought it would go, from front to back. And here's what was interesting. By the end of it, we caught the heck out of them. But the mental exhaustion, both of us and the crew.
Oh, yeah.
Like when we were finished, we were all like, all right, later.
I think we consciously made a decision, both of us, that we could only film together about once every 3 years. Because of
right.
Oh, it's so good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Dude, I said an intro. You've had a big year, like a big year in a lot of ways. But two stand out. And I want to start with the first one because it happened to me last year. I want to get your take on it. Nomination into the Hall of Fame, dude. I'm still feeling it from last year. So I haven't talked to you about this, and I want to hear it from you. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I thought about you, obviously last year, you know, I obviously called you and I did a video for Beck on that. But Mike, if you would, and this is, it's very surreal. And I don't know if it still is for you, but it doesn't feel right. I don't want to say it doesn't feel right, you and I both being in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, but in all honesty, our careers, we've known each other before television and having to work
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Back from the, invitationals is what they were back in the day.
Yeah.
If somebody would have pulled you and I aside and said, "Hey, 24 years from now, you idiots are going to be in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame." I mean, in all honesty, at what time of night would somebody have said that to us back then?
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's
humbling.
It's unreal. And I agree exactly with you. Like when you see the names, and it's
Yeah.
if you're watching and listening and you haven't been to the Hall of Fame, go, because it honestly, if you're a true fan of the sport, it's amazing. But when you see the names there, you're just blown away, because these are like literally your heroes. They're the icons of the sport. And you're right. It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
And I think we definitely have a lot of parallels, but I even made the comment, like, I feel like most of my career I was hated by everybody. And then all of a sudden, it's like the fishing world saying, "Hey man, you did a good job."
Absolutely.
And it feels good to be appreciated, especially when you've had a career where you're not always necessarily appreciated.
Mike, and I don't want this. Look, I got to me and you started out eerily similar to how it started with me and Denny Brower. There was a lot of that, but
yeah.
As time wears on, working together, you learn to respect each other.
Yeah.
For the passion that's involved. But I will tell you one thing, and I thought about this last year when you were nominated. I remember saying this to you. I said this to you on the phone. You've made a difference, okay? In so many different parallels. But one thing, before I got into hard full-time television, one of the things that you've done, which is a connection to what I think I've done, is getting on television and being yourself, for
Right.
better, for
Right.
worse. People are going to like that. People are going to be pissed at you. They're going to hate you. They're going to love you. But at the end of the day, you were who you were. And I have a big amount of respect for that. And absolutely painfully loved the sport of fishing. And I think that's why you're on that wall.
Yeah. And ditto to you. And the amount of people that have got involved in the sport because of you is it's an exact parallel. Seriously. Like, it's unbelievable. It is hard for me to believe, though, that in the Hall of Fame, there will now be 2 loudmouth city kids.
Italian
loudmouth city kids in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. That's kind of odd, isn't it?
Karen's smiling over there.
So
that is not something I, like I said, not to be redundant, not something I would have seen when we started working together 22 years ago in any way, shape, or form. But it's and this is, and you know this, it is an award, an honor for my family.
Yes.
I'm not a big award dude, but it's one that means something to me. It means something to me for them, because Mike, I think another parallel, I think you and I are a little bit of a handful at home.
We are a handful. And
that award goes to them.
Very, very much a handful. And so the wives and the kids and the moms, all very important to be able to put up,
to say the least.
Yes. Now, if you're watching, listen, have been in the Hall of Fame, you know this, but there is a really cool display that you're given as you're inducted into it. You're literally part of, for history, you're now part of that. I don't want you to give it all away, but can you tell us on the show, give us one piece of memorabilia or something special that you put in there that people can expect to see?
The first smallmouth bass I ever caught, I mounted, and it was a 17-inch smallmouth.
Whoa!
And I had, and this is no joke, I had 3 bullies. I was fishing under a bridge. I was a little dude,
Yeah.
and I was fishing under a bridge. And the 3, some of them they may have been a relative or two, were giving it to me. They were the older kids, and they didn't think fishing was cool, right? And I remember I had my little 3-hook worm under this bridge, and all I wanted to do was see that line go up to just shut them up.
Yes.
Shut them up, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I remember because it was off to my left-hand side. Mike, they're giving it to me. You're a dork. All you do is fish. You're a loser. And I was probably, I don't know, it's probably 7 or 8 years old, and they were 11 or 12. And I'll never forget this. I saw the line go up.
Yes.
And I'm like, got him. And they're like, you don't have, still giving it to me.
Yeah, you're snagged. You've got nothing. It's the bottom.
And here comes this 17-inch smallmouth. It might as well have been Jaws in my eyes, right?
That's awesome.
And they're up there on their bikes, and they see it come out from underneath. It was a road bridge. They see it come out from under the road bridge. Now all of a sudden they're cheering. And I'll remember they came around the left-hand side of the bridge and helped me get it. And we put it on a stringer, and we were riding back to my parents' house. And it was just like E.T. with the basket. And I got this bass, and they're behind me cheering, right? And I'll tell you, I've thought about this a lot. Like, what have I done, or what am I in the fishing industry? And I thought about that. I've thought about that day a lot since getting inducted. To me, all I wanted to show those 3 kids was how cool bass fishing was.
Yeah.
And I did that because from that day forward, they had, like, every time I seen them, all the way till I was 20 years old, they're like, are you catching any big ones? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember from that day forward, I did that on the south side of Chicago. I did that when my kids were born, all the way to when I sat in the seat on Bassmaster and did Zona show. So that one bass paints I'm not kidding, that one bass paints the story of my life.
That's such an amazing story. It's so amazing. It really does bring it full circle. And I love that you told that story, because how many people are going to walk past that bass and be like, that's a little bass he caught.
It's a little bass.
And it's a skin mount. Why did he do that?
Right. It was a skin mount too. Right.
But it is cool. I love those full circle moments, and it's a representation of what you've done your whole career in that one fish. That's so cool. That's awesome.
It meant a lot. And to go on to be able, in some way, shape, or form, to try to show and tell millions and millions and millions of people from those 3 kids on that bridge is it's hard for me to comprehend that. It really is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. It actually gave me a little bit of chills as you were telling that story.
Typical, Mike. Typical.
I know.
Fishing bullshit. I was like, if this damn fish breaks me off,
your life might have been different, right?
Absolutely.
They might have thrown you in. You would have hated fishing because of that. You would have just, did something completely different,
It was awesome.
I'm glad you caught that fish, because you did the right thing in life. Now, before we get to the next topic, I do have to ask you two parts to this. One is, I like you, I don't have a hard time speaking in front of people. I'm an outgoing person. I love getting in front of crowds and giving seminar. I love it. But dude, I was a nervous wreck when I gave my
Stop it. Why are you doing this right now, Mike?
I know, but I want to say this. Like, not only was I nervous, but dude, there's a lot of emotion, gone through. And I actually, like you growing up where we grew up, dude, if you started crying as a teenager, they would beat the shit out of you. So a very manly childhood where you learn not to cry. But dude, I felt myself welling up because your family's there, your peers are there, your friends are. It was an unbelievable thing. But here's the question. I was told after it was over, I had one of the longest acceptance speeches in the history of the Hall of Fame. In fact, if you remember, I don't know if you remember watching it or whatever, but they were getting the cane out. They started playing the Oscar music. They were trying to film. Will your acceptance speech be longer than mine?
No. Because look, same thing. I'm not a crier, but I'm a crier. You know what I mean? You play Lady in Red from back in 1987 at the junior high dance. I'm bawling my eyes out, right? Give me a break. What was that Peter Gabriel song, right?
Oh, man.
The one thing Sanders has really taught me, shorter is sometimes better. Get it out. Mine's a little, I'd say mine will fall somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to be able to raise my head much. Like Mike, on the other side, I'm not good at public speaking. I'm okay talking to the camera.
Yeah.
You put me in front of 6 junior high kids, I'm dripping, dude. So I'll struggle. And what's funny is like Van Dam and Mercer and Tommy, they know if there's 5 people in front of me, I don't do very well. So if there's a couple hundred peers in front of me, I'll be a shaken disaster. So
it was a nervous moment for me, for sure. But I am excited. Becky and I will be there. Can't wait to see you guys. Can't wait to see both you guys. It's going to be awesome. I want to switch gears, and this is the obvious one because it's a little more recent, but big announcement, big retirement just a few weeks ago, it seems like. I want to start by telling you this, and I've said it I had Bassmaster call me, other media outlets call me. I didn't catch a fish this year, so nobody called me about my fishing this year, but they called me about your retirement. And I said this to him, and I want to make sure I say it to you, looking at you, which is, dude, you have had one of the biggest impacts on the sport, more than anyone else I know, from the standpoint of bringing new people to it. I'm telling you, I cannot tell you how many people I've met or my friends or friends of friends that said, I started watching this. I was never into fishing. I was never into watch. I started this because of Zona. I started watching Bassmasters. I started watching his show, and he made it fun. And dude, I want you to know that I'm so happy.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'm so happy that you did that for us and for the sport. And it was just, you had an amazing career at what you did at Bassmasters, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Mike. At hell, you're gonna make me cry before the Hall of Fame at this point. Right?
Yes.
Right? Dude, Mike. It's been the best ride. The Bassmasters is mine. It's yours. Nut bags.
Yeah.
It's our Monday Night Football. And I remember the first time I walked in the studio, and you've been in the JM studio.
Oh yeah. I
was just like, wow, man, I'm in hallowed ground. And I did a tournament with Tommy, and I left, and I was like, all right, Karen, we could tell the kids when they're old enough to comprehend that Dad called one event. And then when it turned into a full-time job, it was and I really haven't, I've done a couple interviews and a couple podcast. No, I've only done your podcast and Mercer's, and I didn't even say this on Mercer's. There was a real strange learning. Number one, Tommy was the one that taught me, because I would just stare at him, and he taught me timing, and he taught me, also they let me say whatever I wanted to say.
Yep.
Which was huge. But there was also, I am, we're big sports fans. There's delivering it to the hardcore Bass University, Bassmaster fans, making sure they got their juice, okay, getting the stuff they wanted. And then the other side was somehow, some way, shape, or form, connecting it to maybe somebody that doesn't even bass fish. You know what I'm saying? To where you can just keep them for a few minutes to be like, man, that again goes back to that bass. Man, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. That was kind of the recipe. What was to really stay hardcore and true, but when you needed to leave it and be an actual sport, or have fun and misbehave and fill time, that was the recipe. It really was. And the other thing in doing that, number one, thank you so much for what you said. I had no idea, Mike. I really did not. I had no idea that when Karen and I called it quits, I talked to you on the phone a week and a half after that.
Yeah.
There was to leave. There was no, like, what's funny was there's been a lot of interviews where they're like, well, what happened? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. They want to
happened.
pin it. They want to pin it on something.
It's forward facing sonar. And they're like, it's not that. It's not that. Well, there must be some cheating going on with some of them rookies or something like that. I don't care. I mean, I do. No, I do, actually. I really do, about some of the stuff about that. But there was no reason. Like, the only thing that happened was Karen and I had a little bit of time alone to think about it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I said this to you on the phone. She looked at me and she said, let's be done.
Yeah.
And that was the day that we were done. And I sent the email the next afternoon.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I always wondered, like, what would be the moment. Like,
it's weird. It was weird.
Yeah. I've always
talked about.
Yeah. I've always wondered myself, like, is something, will it be a big event? Will something happen? Will it be, I get fired by a spot? What'll be but I think that is the best way to change. And I don't want to say end it, because you're just changing direction.
Yes.
I think the best way to change is with your significant other, right? Yeah. With your family 100%. Saying, hey, this was a great run. On to the next adventure.
On to the next adventure, and like Mercer asked me this, and I talked about it with you a lot, was he's like, well, are you scared? Well, what if Zona show goes away? I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm like, I'm in trouble. I said, watch how fast I come back begging. And the other thing is, and I, again, Bass is a massive part of my life, my family's life, your life, your family's life.
Yeah.
Hey, just because I'm not doing Bassmaster Live doesn't mean, that I'm some way, shape, or form don't want to still have my foot in there and helping move that ball forward. And like, what's weird is when, I shouldn't get into this, but like when that, hey, y'all are allowed to get information till December 31st. First thing I did was I got on the phone with Mercer and Davey, and I'm like, no, that is not a good idea. That is a FLW proved 10 years ago that's a horrifically bad idea.
Man. Yeah. It was bad. It was bad. And I don't have, I'm trying to see if I have the exact text. I mentioned this the other night on a live with Becky, but I did the same thing. When I saw, we were in a meeting and I came out of the meeting, Z, and it was like probably an hour. That's it. After the schedule and the announcement came out about that. And the phone had like 30, 35 text messages and missed calls. And the first thing I did is I looked at Beck. I'm like, the kid's okay? Like, oh shit, is Russia invading? Like, what's happening?
Same thing.
And saw that. And I did the same thing. I started sending texts to everybody at Bass. Like you, I like everybody there. I love those guys from the very top all the way to guys getting coffees for people. I like everybody there. And I just sent a simple text, said, are you guys okay? Like, are you okay? Like, is something happening? Is there a gas leak in the office? Like, what, I just was confused, but,
Mike, and another side of this, and I said this to Dave and Davey. Okay, say that. Number one, thank goodness that was turned around.
Yes.
say it's not. Say that's not turned around. How
Yeah.
are you long term? Not just look. The short term is wow. They that was a good move.
Yeah.
It was a bad move initially to have that you can gather information. That was a bad move.
Yeah.
But what changing it was good. But say it would have stayed the same. Okay, bro. Number one, if you rewind back to the FLW days, well, I think when you fished it, you
Yeah.
could get as much. You could live at a lake with a guide for 30 days.
Oh yeah.
It festered and turned into a major problem. But above and beyond that, more of a big picture thing. What are you telling junior anglers, high school anglers, college anglers?
Right.
Hey, if you're gonna make it, you better be a dot getter.
Right.
No, man. That is, look, it is obviously an incredibly hard rule to police. I get that.
Yeah.
But hell, don't make it the Wild West.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
You know?
yeah, it was bad. And I think universally, like I've never seen such an outcry universally of, 100 guys saying, no.
Mike, speeding is an impossible rule to enforce, yet they don't say, guys, just go 120.
Yeah.
Just go 120.
Get an 87 Corvette with a tuned up engine. It goes fast as you want.
No, that would be a bad idea. So I'm glad that got turned around because it would have been a very, I think, very long term and not good for the sport as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. And it's nice to see that you're still vested in it too, because
I care, man.
Yeah, I do too. And like I'm just forecasting, when I'm done with it, whenever that is, wink, wink, that I honestly, I feel like I will still be very vested.
Absolutely.
In it. And,
I know that.
You've got kids and I've got kids, and whether they want to do it professionally or not, but there's a lot of young people coming up, and you hit it on the head. Teach them the right things. Don't start this where you're going down a path of getting them doing the wrong thing.
Not only that, I mean, hey, it takes shortcuts to succeed.
Yeah.
Come on, man. No. And look, getting information's been around since the beginning of time, but not just wide open. No, we're not. We're headed that trajectory, I hope, in the sport, and not back into the the mid 80s.
Yeah, I agree. You've probably been asked this before. I haven't listened to the Mercer podcast yet and all that, but when I look at someone's career, and you have high points and low points, and that's the nature of it. When I look at my professional career, I've got a whole lot of low points, a couple high points and a whole lot of low points. But can you give me one of the best moments of working at Bassmaster and covering the sport and being out there? And can you give me one of your best? And then I'd also like to hear one of your worst, and it doesn't have to be like a low moment emotionally, just a bad thing that happened when you were working there.
Oh boy. So a bass to me for sure is the initial bass that I got to visually watch on Bassmaster live at the Classic on Lake Hartwell. That was awesome. Like, hey man, here's what I can say is if bass fishing is something 100 years from now, I called the very first bass that was ever caught on live,
Oh, that's so awesome.
On Bassmaster. So that I would say that is, that is definitely
historic.
And what's funny, Mike, is I did know it then, where I was like, wow, that was a moment that I just called the first live home run, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everything that we had really watched up until then, a lot of it was posted stuff. So for that was definitely a moment, for sure in time.
Yeah.
Some of the low things, that, and I would get pissed at myself for this. There were certain anglers, there were certain anglers that were very, very, very incredibly hard to cover, Mike.
I was one of those.
And then,
But-
that was more near the
But
beginning.
not the hardest, though.
No,
Not the hardest.
No.
Yeah.
No, the hardest, and when I knew that I was getting under their skin, trying to do my job, and Mike, you actually have this, Mike, you have this same trait. When you know, okay, I'm under somebody's skin, you tend to really pour gas.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I would do that. I look back on it now. I do. I look back on it now and I'm like, I probably should have just backed off the pedal, but they were treating me like shit. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So I'm glad Denny Brower and I are very close friends now, because him and I, like we went at it. And look, there's a lot of what's funny is what I learned nowadays compared to, it's really bizarre because it's really strange. In fact, like you, Hackneys, Christie's, Aaron's, Skeet, Kevin, you would give me everything I needed, and I knew it was the truth because you would say, hey, don't give this juice away until the final day. And there was a mutual trust. There was and I would never ever break that bond and respect. We work together.
Right.
And then there's the other side. There's a paranoid anglers that I can't quite tell you that I'm fishing the corner of a, stuff like that, BS like that. And it's amazing. The most confident and successful anglers have gone on that have given me the juice for the viewer. Dude, I knew they were going to win those. I knew you guys were going to win those tournaments before they started.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, man. I'm a wrecking machine right now. And what I do, I see more nowadays, and it's 50-50. I shouldn't say it's all, but it's 50-50. Some of the rookies or sophomores are so incredible at marketing and getting the game. And then there's another side right now that is not at all. They're paranoid. They could use a little bit of help, with just general communication. And then they'll get there. So I guess that was a very long answer, but some of the stuff that I look back on where I'm like, I shouldn't have been such an ass to some of the best that I've ever been.
Yeah. You might say older and wiser. I feel like that, I feel like, I've spent my entire life playing the blame game. Like, back in the day, if you were covering me and then all of a sudden I wasn't catching them, I got to blame it on somebody. It's Zona's fault. He's fucking back there. It's got to be his fault. It couldn't be the conditions changed or the herring moved or something, or it had to be Zona.
What was weird. So back then when I would get, and I would, man, because my job was what I want. If I was a viewer, a hardcore Bassmaster viewer, was I'm going to get the information that I would want to know, that the person that's watching this wants to know.
Right.
Well, if I wasn't getting it, I would immediately in my head go, if you're not going to respect my job, I'm not going to respect your job. So let's go for a while. And hey, some of those anglers I've made great best friendships with, and some I have not since those days. So.
Ditto. I was saying
Exactly.
my boat. Same with my boat. I'm curious, as you were talking, this popped up in my head. I mean, there is a certain amount of, and you're not this person, either am I, but there's a certain amount of you have to be a bit conservative. You have to, when you were working for Bassmaster, you had to bite your tongue a little bit. And there were things that you shouldn't have said and probably couldn't have said. How is that going to change, Z? And again, I'm probably jumping the goat here a little bit, but you're going to be still doing stuff. You're going to be doing new stuff. You're still going to be out in the public. Will will that change? Will you lift that guard up now that you're not working for Bassmaster?
Like call them out on stuff?
I call them out. Like
I did that at the desk, man. Give me a break. I remember one time I did. Wow, that's weird. One time I did get in trouble. Okay. So you remember? Yeah, you remember this. You remember them goofy ass postseasons we had for a couple years?
Oh yeah.
The Angler of the Year postseasons. Jerry was alive, and I remember on one Bassmaster, I started shredding those things. Like, I mean, and I just kept going and piling on and piling on and piling on. So I guess I had some low moments. I definitely had some low moments.
Yeah, I feel like I guess the reason I asked that is I feel like for me, I've had to censor, and I've been lucky because with this podcast and with some of the other things I'm doing, I've been able to open up a bit more than most. But
Mike, I call BS on that. No way, dude. You call, and I give you credit on this, and it's a benefit and a liability, Mike. It is you do call it like you see it. I watch 99% of your content, and a lot of times I'll text you and I'm like, damn, bro.
I know. And whenever there's this involved, it's always worse. So,
hey, just to let you know, if you do say that you censor yourself, man, I want to see the uncensored.
I still think there's a little bit that I hold back, but it does bring up another question, which is, and I've wondered this for a few years, but now that the retirement thing has happened, Z, have you thought about, and I'm saying this because I believe you should, have you thought about writing a book? Like, honestly, like in your life and career, you had to have seen and heard some amazing stuff that people don't know about. Have you thought about that? Has that been brought to you at all?
It has been brought to me. It has been brought to me, but there's skeletons too. And let me put it this way: there's skeletons that need to stay in the closet.
They need to stay.
Look, I'm Mike. I'm like you. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm really full speed gonna do it. But at the same time, I don't need to create any headaches that I currently don't have. And I know if I wrote a book, I would create some headaches.
Well, I would be like, when you pre-order the books, I would be like pre-order number 2 or 1. I'd be right there at the top.
I've read your book like 2 or 3 different times throughout my career. And every time I've read it, I'm like, I don't think I could write a book. I could do a book.
Yeah, I'm in a different place now. I couldn't write that. It'd be bad. I want to ask this because it's been asked to me by other people, so I wanted to pass it on to you. You've created a open position that, in my opinion, will never be filled the way that you had filled that position. You can't duplicate that. But have you given thought to, if Bass was to call you and say, Z, we need 3 names to be your replacement. Have you given any thought to that? Like, who could
100%?
Yeah. Who do you think?
But you and I talk on the phone, so yeah, you. I mean, but that's low hanging fruit. It's low hanging fruit. I think Hackney would be phenomenal at it.
Yeah.
In a polar opposite way from you. And I think the other one that could definitely handle it would be Swindle. Yeah. Just because he's great at time filling.
Yeah.
Also, if he stays in one character, you can't go in 30 different. If I could give him advice, don't go in 30 characters. Stay who you are, because you're damn good at it. When like what's funny is like him and I will talk alone. And then all of a sudden he'll talk to somebody else. I'm like, whoa. You just turned into like Sybil. You got like 33 different personalities.
Yeah, it's like Ed Bassmaster. It's like Skippy, and
Right.
the drunk Eagles fan
Right,
and
right.
mumbles. It's like all these different-
But you know the you three and here's and Mike, I number one, it's humbling where you say no, somebody is going to fill that seat. Somebody's gonna fill that seat, and nobody, you know, the biggest thing is whoever fills that seat, just be you.
right,
It's either gonna work or it's not gonna
right,
work.
right,
Um, you know, one the biggest thing that you have y- outside of fishing, all you do is you sit behind a mic. You sit
right,
behind, so you
right,
have a lot of experience doing that. You know, the one thing I can tell you is obviously the world of professional fishing right now. It's interesting
Hmm.
with you have a smaller organization that did what they thought best, no forward facing sonar. You've got MLF a little bit, just a splash of forward facing, and then you got Bass. Okay, you can use it on the front of your boat. And
yeah,
here's not to go. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I think all those decisions were good decisions per the organizations of what they want,
right,
what they think benefits them the most.
right,
And the other thing for the viewers is, hey, obviously there's something. If you can't find something in there that you like,
right,
you don't like watching live fishing.
right,
But I will say is the last 2 years of my life covering Bassmaster Live
yeah,
was the hardest 2 years I have ever. Mike, we talked about it alone. It
yeah,
was the hardest 2 years. Dude, I don't run out of stuff to say.
yeah,
I don't run out of passion. And I felt myself at times in a purely dominated forward facing sonar tournament. I struggled. I'm just
right,
being honest.
right,
I struggled with myself. Uh, and here's the weird thing: I love using it.
yeah,
I don't know that I love talking about it. And that's a personal thing. I
right,
did my best.
right,
I know I understand it. The other thing about it is I really I looked at Bass's schedule when they came out with their schedule. I'm like, all right, that was well thought out. I think if you're gonna have forward facing sonar for the rest of time, probably till we're off Earth,
right,
the most critical part of that organization is who is scheduling those tournaments and where they're scheduling them, so they're not just blanketed tournaments like that.
right,
So
right.
those three, I would say those three. Am I going to say who I would put at the top of the list? No.
I agree with everything you said. And I think I find it interesting.
Who you name three for me? You name three.
Well, I thought Swindle for sure is a great one. I always thought Kevin would do a great job.
Absolutely.
And we've had him on after his retirement.
Yeah.
He flat out said no.
Right.
He didn't even like give it a second.
Right.
He was like, nope.
Hey, Mike, what Kevin learned is he thought doing a TV show was just a little bit of a layup, and it's a job.
It's a job. Oh, it's a job. Yeah. Yeah. We might see Kevin come out of retirement. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. And you know, like I think I had mentioned Frank Scalish. I mentioned Pete Glusick. I think they're both very much a fan of the sport and understand it. But again, I'll reiterate, they're never going to replace you. See, there's no one alive walking the face of the earth that could fill those shoes. So
means a lot. That's
a fact. I did want to just step back, and when you were saying the last 2 years were tough, and I understand it because I'm in it and it's tough for me in my capacity and my role. But dude, to me, like it's interesting you said that as a commentator, because it's paralleling exactly to what a lot of our fans are saying, right? And I don't want to say all of them. Yeah. But I've seen polls where it's 60, 70, some are 80%. Yep. Are just saying, God, this is hard to watch. It's hard to consume anymore, you know?
And look, that's going to come, Mike, what you just said right there. And I've had I've had countless conversations with Mike McKinnis about this. Obviously, Mike produces, and
Yeah.
Mike. Hell, we've gone smallmouth fishing for 3 days and talked about it. It's on production. It's on production to make it interesting. Okay.
Right.
There's
Right.
a lot of football games. I got one on right now. There's a lot of football games that are 6-3. You better find a way to make it interesting. Or you could be Al Michaels and some of those Thursday night games last year and just say, man, this game sucks. Like, right? There's been a few tournaments. I damn near said that. Oh, wait, maybe I did a couple different times. That's one thing. It's going to be their job to really, the other, what's funny was I haven't talked about this a lot, but calling some of the first truly forward-facing sonar dominated tournaments, I reached out to Chase Anderson. It was a bit last year. It was before it, turned into this tornado. And I said, hey, I think this is something that's gonna. If I'm sitting there feeling that, I know, and look, Mike, you hang around the hardest of hardcores. I hang around the hardest of hardcores, and some of them are like, man, the comments you see, but we also hear them from our buddies, right?
Yeah.
That's when I brought that to Chase, and that's when he took the information and went where he went with it, getting his advisory council people, and where they ended up is where they ended up. But it was something long before it was on chat boards. It was something I brought to Bass's attention.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't, talking about, we've talked about this off camera. Talking about forward facing sonar is like getting. It feels like walking through a swamp with no boots on. Yeah, it feels right. It's rough. But I did want to ask you this. With the advent of all this technology, and you can't stop technology, right? Mm-hmm. Things are changing. And I asked Kevin this straight up, and I want to ask you this too. Have we passed the heyday of the sport of professional bass fishing? Like,
no.
Okay.
No, it's arrogant, man, dude. It's arrogant to say, hell yeah, we did. And it was the early 2000s in the mid. No, it's arrogant as hell, man. You don't ever, no.
There's something better and greater
absolutely,
coming,
man.
In the future.
If you don't think that way, hell, we should quit all of it, man.
Love it.
There's always to say, yeah, man, I commentated. I called the tournaments in the Bassmaster heyday. No, somebody's going to get in that seat. It's going to be better. If you don't feel that way, look, do I feel it's in a rough patch? Currently, yeah, I do. I don't think I think I'm being Captain Obvious saying that.
But that's normal for sports, right? Sports all go through that. Yeah.
You've seen baseball make catastrophic highs and lows and stuff like that.
Right.
It is the leaders of this sport. I consider you absolutely one of those. We gotta keep pushing it forward, or you just don't quit like I did. No, like I will absolutely, positively, outside of Bassmaster Live, I will absolutely, if I have an idea or I see I did it, like I said, I did it last 2 weeks ago. I see something that could be better. This will be better. This is my life. This is your life. Or else it's over.
Yeah. I honestly, I love that answer because I've asked it to other people and they said, absolutely, we're past the heyday. It will never be the same.
I love to block of ice up. No.
I love that answer. I love that answer. And that's a better answer getting ready to pass the keys on to my son, Vegas. I like that answer a lot better.
Hey, and the other thing with Vegas, I saw that little dude running around ICAST, and I can't wait till he writes a book when he's 26 years old. But and what's there's been a lot of there's been a lot of negativity on fronts, and we've covered. But look, man, you've been in my boat. We talked about when I do Zona content and I go bass fishing, or I was a little dude throwing that worm under a bridge. Mike, I fish with you, and one thing, like the last time you and I were on the Detroit River, dude, we got done with that. We're like, damn, that was fun.
Super fun.
It's been a little bit lost. It's been a little bit lost. There's a lot, this to me still is. It's better than the NFL.
Yeah.
It's fun, and at least I know my content. I watch your content when you're out on the water. It's fun. It's not miserable,
Right.
I want more of that.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I agree. One last thing I did want to mention on this is I had several texts. This is probably within a week after you announced your retirement from bass. And it basically everyone from different walks of life, they were all saying the same thing. They said in text, man, Kevin and Zona knew what was up. They're geniuses. I just thought I would tell you that.
I got a few of those texts myself. Actually, one was from you. So awesome. I did get a few of those. I did get a few of those texts myself. I did not. I had no idea. I had no idea, but I don't know where to go with that. Are you ready for me? Are you ready for me to make an announcement tonight?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this is Ike Live, and we love announcements.
I'm nervous.
Even if they're announcements about announcements. We love announcements. We love exclusives.
Yep.
Okay, we're ready, Z. We're ready.
A lot of people said, "Hey, was there something?" And actually, since the final event, I talked to a dude that was heading to Miami. And he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And what are you doing? What are you doing? And Mike, I think it's time we announce that you and I are going to be partners. Do we know what we're doing? No, we don't. We don't know what we're doing, where we're going. And after we had that phone call together, like, hey, man, in the next year or two, let's do some stuff together. I was like, we are the real life Prestige Worldwide from Step Brothers.
Oh, you know it.
Marketing. Yes. Investments? Absolutely. So that's the thing I want to announce, that you and I are going to do a ton of stuff together. We just have no idea what we're doing.
There you have it. We've got the hot wives to back us up. Everything's perfect. Yes. There you have it, guys. You've heard a lot of big announcements on Ike Live, but that is the biggest there. Collab Central coming up.
And the beautiful thing, sort of a blank template right now of what we're doing, but we're doing some things.
Oh, it's so great. Now, listen, if you're watching and listening, comment if you have ideas for Z and I. Opening a bookstore. I don't know, a cafe. I don't know. We could do a lot of stuff. Forward-facing sonar clinics. I know, Z, you'd be great at that. I would too.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, dude, I had so much fun with you coming on the show. I think when I look at the tally, and we actually had it printed out at one time, you were right up there with being on Ike Live more than anyone. You were in the top 5 for sure.
Wow.
And I always appreciated that you'd come on, especially the old Ike Live when it was just a bunch of drunken dudes just spewing stuff. But this one was fun because it was the first time where it was just me and you chatting together like this. And I really enjoyed it, dude. I cannot thank you enough for coming on. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Is it a week away too? What is it? A week away? A couple weeks?
Yeah, I think it's like a week and a half, whatever it is. You really got me nervous for the speech now, because I had it all right here. But the nice thing is, I felt like you having me tee up that bass under the bridge, I got to speak it through, so it's almost like I did practice, like a practice run. Tommy likes doing those every now and then.
It was a good practice run.
Dude, I want to tell you something. I mean this. Your whole crew, Brian and Rich and Pete and Beck, not so much as Stormtrooper dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean this to say that I've been again. If you were to rewind time 25 years ago to right now to this last hour and 15 minutes, dude, I'm humbled, and we are so lucky to be such a small, piece of all the way back from Ray Scott starting all this stuff. Dude, I love you, man. I've loved working side by side, even when you and I would be two young 3-year-old bucks tangled up in the woods. You've gone on to be one of my best friends in the industry, and I appreciate the hell out of you.
Ditto, Z. Love you too. And big things still coming. It's a retirement's not a retirement. You got a lot more to do. And I know we'll be working together a lot in the future.
100%.
So thank you for coming on, and tell the family we said hello. Tell Karen we said thank you for coming on. I know you got stuff going on tonight, so thank you for carving out some time for us.
It's actually a big Northern Lights night, which how really big I am into that, right? So, she got pissed at that.
You're in the club, aren't you?
Right now.
Northern Lights Club.
Yeah, who doesn't love that?
Hey!
So I show you the picture.
Yeah, great.
Hey, you know what goes great with Northern Lights, don't you? Alcohol.
As soon as we're done.
Z, thanks for coming on. We will see you in a couple weeks. Congrats on everything, dude. Congrats on everything.
You're the best, Mike. Thank you.
Later. Thanks, Z. Oh, it's so great, dude. That was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was amazing. I've had Z on the podcast. I've hung around him forever. We're friends, but it's something special about getting one-on-one with somebody and talking about your life, talking about the impact, talking about the future. Man, I had such a good time, and I hope you really enjoyed the show. Definitely cannot wait to see Z inducted into the Hall of Fame next week. Standing ovation coming from me and Becky. We might throw some stuff too. You know, the Yankees and Northerners, we throw shit. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But definitely looking forward to seeing Z there, and can't thank him enough for coming on the show. Guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a really, really fun one for me. If you've got questions or comments, please leave them below. If you want a question answer, you want to hear something, you want a guest, you want to see a guest, let us know what you're thinking. Appreciate all the positive comments about Ike Live 2.0. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you to Abu Garcia for sponsoring this podcast. Head over to abugarcia.com. Check out all the great products, including the Revo spinning reel, super fast, and all the Ike Series 3.0 rods and reels launching now. In fact, like any day at Tackle Warehouse. Also, thank you to Ike Foundation. If you want to help get kids fishing, head on over to the ikefoundation.org. If you go over there right now, in fact, we have a special 32 auction going on. A lot of amazing stuff over there. Rods, reels, equipment, signed jerseys, crazy stuff over there. So head on over there, check out the auction. All the proceeds, every single dollar to that auction goes to getting new kids fishing. So please check that out. And we will see you at the next one. Bye, guys.
Do you fish for excitement? Do you fish for passion? Do you fish to get outside? Or do you fish to win? Abu Garcia for life. You know, right now where we're standing, we're in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is right there. This is the concrete jungle. And, you know, a lot of those kids, as they grow up, they don't fish. It's interesting because they're surrounded by water. You know, the Delaware River, the Schuylkill, ponds, city park lakes, but they don't have the influence to cast, to fish, to have a rod and reel. And that became our focus, you know, is to target kids in what we call non-traditional areas, you know, urban areas, city centers, where the population's high, and let these kids have an experience. You know, it's amazing. I mean, some of the experiences we've had, whether it's Central Park in New York City, here in Camden, other parts of the country, even just casting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to see it, isn't it?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And you know, you see these kids have this experience they've never had, and they light up, you know? The big thing, I think, for the Ike Foundation is we're not saying we want all these kids to become professional anglers.
Yeah.
It'd be great if some of them did, but we want them to have that fishing experience because it ties them to so many other positive things. The outdoors, nature, conservation. Ecology, you know, all these amazing things in life that maybe they wouldn't have been exposed to any other way. We're trying to help with that. So it's important. It's important for us.
Yeah.
We're proud of it.
I subscribe to Bass U TV, and so should you.
Great place to learn about anything you want to know about bass fishing.
You get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best.
I'm not just an instructor, I'm a subscriber.
I'm John Cruz, and I am a subscriber.
You can always learn, and watching Bass U is definitely helps with that. It's something that I like to do, and it's definitely something that you need to do.
If I'm still learning, you should be too.
Subscribe to Bass U because you'll learn how to catch a lot more fish.
Ike Live, brought to you exclusively